Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. I want to talk to us about Manuscript 2427 in the Greek manuscripts. It's found in this great book. I've already done a review on it, The Forging of Codex Sinaiticus by William Cooper. Awesome. There was another William Cooper that wrote some conspiracy theory UFO books. I think I've read that book too, Behold a Pale Horse or something like that. But anyhow, this is a different William Cooper. This is a guy that in the UK is one of the heads of the creation science movement. So what's fascinating about Manuscript 2427 is when it came out, it was said to be a Class 1 manuscript. It was one of the best examples of an ancient manuscript. It copied Vaticanus verbatim except for one particular area. But what happened with later paleography, it was seen to be a fraud. And the relevance to that is if this can fool the person who is head of the Institute for New Testament Studies or Textual Studies in Münster, Germany, Kurt Aland, then there's other manuscripts out there as well that could be frauds or things that are considered late that could actually be early that would confirm the King James Version. Now, it's fascinating to me. I've read some books like on papyrus by Comfort, and in it, he says, now there's a ton of papyri here that looks like it confirms received text readings, but it couldn't because the received text wasn't created till in Antioch 425 AD or something like that, the Heraclean revision. And so you see the circular reasoning there is that things that have evidences like Mormon and Bergan have, tens of thousands of places in either old church writings or papyri or uncials that confirm the King James Version of the Bible. They just write it off and say it could not have happened because the King James, the text behind it, didn't exist yet. So it can't do it. And see, that's what evolutionists do all the time. They're like, well, I know there's a lot of things that seem to point towards the early Earth, but since we know evolution is true, we have to have a different interpretation. Well, see, you can't reason that way. That way you can, but it doesn't lead to truth. It leads to error and falsity. So this 2427, I'm just going to read to you a little bit about what William Cooper says. He says, in the University of Chicago Library, there lies a curious manuscript, Earth's Whistle, known as Codex 2047. Its shelf mark today is Manuscript 972. It was formerly known as Goodspeed, Manuscript Greek 38, as well as Archaic Mark, and it's acknowledged by all, including the university, to be a late 19th century forgery. It is very cleverly done and would easily deceive the untrained eye. In spite of the most convincing appearance of great antiquity, chemical analysis of its inks, paints, parchment show it to be entirely modern production. One of its inks didn't even come to the market until 1874. It is kept today for training purposes so that students and researchers can see how readily and how cleverly such forgeries are made. But that was not always the case. On its discovery in the 50s, it was hailed by Kurt Aland as a Category 1 manuscript, was duly cataloged as Manuscript 2427. So, amazing. And he goes on to show how this manuscript was coalesced with Cardinal Mao in 1857 to really, even though the Vatican manuscript was initially produced somewhere probably 1200 AD, not 300 AD as generally supposed, that the last 5 leaves of Mark were redone both there and in Sinaiticus to remove Mark 16 verses 9 through 20. And that's one of the fascinating anomalies of history, is that the last 5 leaves of Mark and Vaticanus and Sinaiticus are done by the same hand, by the same scribe, and they were both done in the 19th century. And so tons of proofs for Mark 16, 9 through 20. So the Bible's true, and there's all these forgeries trying to prove the Bible wrong, trying to prove evolution is right. Man, just believe the truth. God bless you. I love you in Jesus' name. Example of a forgery that deceived an expert. Talk with you later.